Hey guys, it's Leesh, and welcome to another episode of Car Confessions. Guys, listen, it is Wednesday. What's today's date? Let's see. Oh, Wednesday, November 12th. I mean, how is it already the 12th of November? I can't even wrap my head around that. Like, I feel like November literally just started, even though obviously it didn't, but I feel like this year's flying by, but not flying by. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. But, here we are, November 12th. It is freezing in New York City. It's off my zipper. Freezing here in New York City. And it's not even at its coldest, but it's just like, we haven't been used to any like cold weather. So right now for me and many others, it's cold. Like it is cold. But I am, praying this winter is not too wild. Hopefully we don't get too much snow and all that because there's been like flurries, happening here and there, which I'm just like, Lord, it's happening, But here we are. Guys, how are you? What's been going on in your world? Hopefully you're doing well. It's crazy because, as we are, living in this crazy United States of America, I find myself constantly wanting to detach from all of this, like all the drama, all the, nonsense that this administration has put out in the world. Because it's like, how much more do we need to consume in terms of all of this craziness? I feel like at some point, the human brain requires rest, requires relaxation, requires us to take a break from constantly being in flight or fight, and just feeling unsafe. And that's where we are, I feel like, in this country. We're constantly like in this state of like, is this it? Like, is this going to be the thing that completely shuts everything down and we're down and out? I really feel like at this point, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I'm finding myself moving further and further away from all this. I mean, obviously staying informed, but not getting myself. Here it is, take two. It's not so much I'm moving away from it. I am just detaching my feelings from all the things. Does that make sense? Like, I want to stay informed, obviously, to make sure I know what the hell's going on around here. And at the same time, it's like I can't get crazy invested. Um, and lose my shit and all the things because that is by design. That is what is meant to happen. That's what the system wants us to do. They want us to lose our shit, blah blah blah, and not be strategic about how we move forward, um, despite what they're trying to do to us. I think at this point we have to just start coming up with some plans, guys. And I don't know what these plans are. I have no idea. But I think we need to really hone in as Americans and figure out ways to make this shit work for us versus the other way around, Because everything is working in the favor of the majority of the folks in the government. I mean, they're living their best lives. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, there's so many people out here just beyond on the struggle bus. I saw a video earlier on TikTok where this woman was just completely devastated because her husband was the breadwinner and they relied on him to take care of them, and now that he's sick, they were relying on government assistance, and due to the shutdown, they weren't receiving anything. And so she just was just even sharing like the fact that we're in this position. We have children. I worry about my kids on a daily, like feeding them and making sure that they feel safe and, all these things. And she's like, do you not understand how that makes me feel, not knowing that their mother, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically like I can't provide for them and my husband can't, it's like, these are things that it's just eating them alive, in so many ways. And for people then to make fun, poke fun like on the internet and say things and create these parody videos of people that are struggling due to, the reliance of SNAP assistance. It just speaks to the inhumane mentality that some of folks in the society have. And it's sad. It's really sad to know that people really feel that way. It's food. Like we're talking about food. Food should be plentiful. It is actually. There's an abundance of food, and we've been lied to and told that there's everything's scarce. You know, and that's what I mean with us coming up with plans, like talking to each other, not trying to pit each other against each other. Republican versus Democrat, black versus white. Muslim versus Christian, whatever. Right? We all have different things about who we are as people. Right? Some things we can help, some things we can't help. But what we can do, the hope is, what we can do is actually start working together, and really figuring this shit out. Because this government, if you have not figured it out already, and I've said this several times, they don't care about us at all. And every time I find myself looking at something that has happened in this government or even in America and how certain people in leadership are treating Americans in general, I think of Michael Jackson. I think of that song, They Don't Really Care About Us. And that song has never rang more true than today. I mean, even back then when he wrote it, obviously, it was still relevant. We as Americans, we have gotten so comfortable with this life that we live, even though this life that we live is not even the best. We've been lied to think that this is the best way to live. Meanwhile, a lot of us are, our anxiety is like through the roof. We're medicated for different mental health issues and this, that, and the other. And I'm not saying that all mental health related things are a response to this country, but a lot of them are. A lot of them are, And so it's time for us to just realize, like, we've been bamboozled. We've been lied to. This country has just, it's basically a corporation. It's not even really a country. Like, this is a war machine that we just happen to live in. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you think of other countries and how they treat their citizens and, the incentives that these citizens get because they pay into the system in that country, it makes you wonder. It's like, what is happening? Where's all this money going, right? Where's all the money? Because if I'm paying, like, I'm thinking about myself, I pay out a lot in taxes, right? If Leesh, just Leesh is paying taxes, federal taxes, and I'm actually right now driving in New York City, and I'm seeing all these damn people walking by right now as we speak. If they're paying taxes, and I'm talking about right now, I easily 300 or 400 people. I'm not joking, and that is no exact. Because I'm in New York. I mean, let's be serious. Just within this little vicinity, if all these folks are paying taxes, now imagine throughout this whole city you're seeing tons and tons of people, right? And that's just in New York City. You think about every other city in this country, every town and everything, folks are paying taxes. Where the fuck is the money? Where are the incentives? Why aren't these roads fixed? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so many things you can think about. And it's like you're constantly being lied to, thinking, oh, this is the greatest country in the world, this, that, and the other. And I don't see the greatness. Trump lied about the whole make America great again, like all that. Like, where is the greatness? Where is it? I mean, obviously his greatness had nothing to do with me and people that look like me. Seriously. And even folks that are, under a certain bracket in terms of, the money they make. But which is even more reason, yeah, as I say, that's even more reason for us to just, there's no point of us trying to pit each other against one another. You know what I'm saying? Because the people that he's trying to make this country great for, right, have more money than most of us could ever imagine, right? So, to sit here and fight with one another about dumb stuff that literally is not even benefiting us is beyond me at this point, right? People defending Trump about this whole Epstein file stuff and defending him just in general, based off, his incompetency as a president. And I'm like, you realize everything you're defending is really going against your own interest. Like, I just don't understand how people don't see this. And I'm not one to argue with people about this either. This is just me leashing car confessions. Like, when people start debating about that, like I said, I start detaching and removing myself. That's what I do. Because there's no point, because especially at this point in life, If your mind is made up, your mind is made up as it relates to this government and whatever else, right? If you believe Trump is doing a great job and you don't know why folks are complaining, well then, honey, live your best life. Live your best life. I'm not getting ready to argue with you about this. That's the last thing I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? And I think more of us need to get in that mindset as well. It's like the folks that are still riding this out to the death, honey, let them be. Let them, you know, corral around and do their Trumpy nonsense, whatever that looks like for them. But for the rest of us that really want to see this country in a better situation, let's work together. Let's figure out ways to make this shit work for us. Because if we're still claiming democracy, we're still ringing out, oh, we're a democracy, this, that, and the other. We need to start holding these politicians accountable. What in the world? Yo, when I tell you these people in New York cannot drive, how do you start doing a U-turn? The light turned green on my side. Oh, actually on both our sides. This man decides to do a U-turn on the opposite side to get on my side. What are people thinking? God bless. Anyway, yeah, it's like, guys, we don't have to be best friends. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be hanging around you all day, every day. You don't even have to live by me. But what we do is we all live in this country and we need to find ways to make sure this country is sustained. And well, actually, we need to really uproot everything, but that's a whole other car confessions. But, find ways to show this government that, not only are we working together, we've got your number and we are holding you accountable. Like, we need to start. Think about all the money that we have wasted. And I'm seriously, think of all the money that has just poof in thin air because of this government, because of this particular administration. The contingency fund, for instance, where's that money? Ketanji Brown, a lot of people were giving her flack about her ruling, but it made so much sense. Why does the Supreme Court have anything to do with SNAP benefits that are allocated out by way of each state? What? What would each state, like? Why would the Supreme Court have anything to do with that? They shouldn't. This has nothing to do with them, and this is not a Supreme Court type of thing to even like deal with. Like, I think, I mean, down to our government, these people don't know what they're doing. I mean, obviously they're doing this stuff to hoping that the Supreme Court will rule in their favor, but when things are being allocated by way of the state, what the hell does the Supreme Court have to do with it? Unless the states are individually being negligent, and it's on um, a countrywide scale, maybe they would get involved, right? Right? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, once again, Leash, car confessions, me just sitting here. But just thinking about it in general, I'm like, guys, come on. Seriously, think this through. Like, let's just really think about all of this. It's crazy to me. Crazy. But yeah, the money, back to that, the money with the contingency fund, where is that damn money? We know. It's somewhere in the abyss of all the other money that's been stolen and laundered and God knows what else with old Trumpy Bear and his cronies. Like, it was a whole money heist. And listen, this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, let's keep that in perspective. Entertainment purposes only. But yeah, like, where the hell is that money? Where is it? And why aren't we, making a ruckus about it? Right? And like I said, it might even be a thing where we make a ruckus right now. You know? It might be a thing where we, like I said, start planning together, start talking to each other, have conversations with each other about what our grievances are about this country, not judge people, see how we all can come together and figure out to shut this shit down. This current administration is doing with this government in general, because even down to the Democrats, regardless of what. Oh no, I'm not leaving. Sorry. Here's the thing. Total side note, guys. Parking in New York City is so intense. People will blow at you and be like, "Hey, are you leaving?" Because listen, I get it. I am that person sometimes where I'm like, "Oh my God, is that a parking spot?" Because trying to find parking in the city, it is intense sometimes. But yeah, I really feel like this is the time where we start really coming together. The hope is that this is the time. This should be the time. So many other countries have decided to do this, where they have just said, "Fuck it, we are going to shut this, government down, this corrupt system, because we don't deserve this nonsense. Like we can do the same thing, guys. We can do the same things. And like I was saying earlier, we have gotten so conditioned and so comfortable with our current living situation that we think is so great that we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose, what we think is so wonderful. Meanwhile, we're living in squalor, a lot of us. I'm that kind of person that believes, when you let go of something, especially something that's kind of like really, you've been beating yourself against the head and thinking that it's the best thing ever. Sometimes when you let go of that, something beyond beautiful takes place after, And I know it's scary. Like, it's scary to think, oh my gosh, if we try and quote unquote overturn the system, what will that look like? Will we get in trouble? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of go back into like this childlike mentality. Will I get in trouble if I do that? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me speaking my own thoughts and feelings. But it does. It comes down to that. It's that sense of fear. Like, what will happen? Will I get in trouble in some way? Will there be some type of major repercussions because I decided to step out? But if we never try, we'll never know, guys. We have to do something. I think it was just like coming down to when folks were voting for Mamdani. It was like, we don't know. We still don't know. I mean, we know that he won. We don't know what all the things are going to be like going forward, but we did know here in New York City that we were sick and tired of the nonsense. Sick and freaking tired of the nonsense. You know, my prayer and hope is that Mamdani does right by the citizens of New York City. Hold him accountable, obviously, because a lot of folks are now, I've been seeing on different social media platforms, a lot of black folks are mad at him for saying that New York City was built by immigrants. And that was incorrect. And they are right to have that feeling because this city was not built by immigrants. It was built by black slave people. That makes sense. I don't know if I said that right, but you know what I'm saying. It was built by black people. Let's just keep it at that. And to dismiss black people in that actual speech put a really bad taste in many folks' mouths. Myself included. I questioned it, and I'm going to give him grace in this situation. I hope that he comes out and says something about it. But yeah, it's one of those things where you want to hold somebody accountable, right? And hope that this is not going to be a trend as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But everybody has points where they say shit or they do things, and it's like, oh, yikes. So hopefully, like I said, he comes out and he says something. If not, it's not gonna be. It's gonna be rough. I'll just say that. Um, I feel like he definitely needs to say something. He definitely needs to say something about that. If he has already said something, let me know, because like I said, I've been trying to pull back from a lot of stuff because it's just like, woof, I need a break. Seriously. But yeah, guys, let's just try our best to work with one another. Like I said, I know we're not always going to get along. We're not going to always be on the same quote unquote page or whatever. But at this point in time and in history, we have to come together. There's more power in numbers. I always say, y'all hear me, I'm like a broken record, but like, power to the people. We have the power. And if we work together, we can move mountains. We could move mountains, y'all. But we have to take the chance. We have to take the chance. Seriously. All right, guys, that's that. I love you guys. Like I always say, let's just keep on keeping on. I'll see y'all next week. All right.